everyone, Brian Zane here with J Biggs, and we just finished watching, they said it's Extreme Rules, but, as the joke tonight has been, didn't see a whole lot of that except for the main event. Jay, what did you think about this show? Just kind of gut reaction.
Gut reaction? I mean, the show itself wasn't bad necessarily. It kind of straight across the board. There was some disappointing finishes to some matches, I would say.
Yeah, it felt like a pay-per-view. I will say that there was an energy about there. The crowd in Columbus was hot the entire time, pretty much.
Yes, very
hot. There were some pay-per-view quality matches in wrestling that we saw tonight, but it was not without its problems. The stipulations or lack thereof, the least of those worries, really. One of the problems that I think was happening even during the kickoff show, Jay, was the problem with the audio that we Peacock viewers had to deal with getting like English and Spanish and then English and French.
Spanglish.
It was so, what was so chaotic was those first few minutes of the show where like we're trying to watch it and there's all these audio problems and my kid is also in here and she will not stop asking questions about who's that? What's going on? I'm like, all these entrances are happening. I'm like a cacophony of noise.
Just being like an observer sitting over here. I was actually on this couch right here that we're on and I was kind of kicked back and I was watching Brian. He was like a volcano that was slowly just getting ready to burst.
It was just a real pressure cooker situation is all I'm saying. I was trying to concentrate on way too much stuff. But let's talk about the way the show opened because it was an unannounced match, this 6-man tag of The New Day versus Bobby Lashley, AJ Styles, and Omos.
Yeah.
So I mean, it made sense from a storytelling perspective because what we saw last couple of weeks on Raw, but it was just like, this was...
Yeah, they threw together a match with the WWE champion. What the hell?
Yeah, it just felt, and I will say, it's weird to say, it sucks that the champion is in the curtain jerker. We've seen that before. I'll never get used to it because even the opening match is a place of distinction where you've got these wrestlers who are supposed to pop the crowd and be very exciting, and that's what the New Day can do. And this match was fine. It was just like I'll never get used to seeing a world champion, no matter who it is, being in the opening matchup.
When I really finally gave in and said, screw it, this is what they do now, is when Alberto Del Rio and Edge wrestled at, like, what was it, Mania 28 or 29 or something like that, And that, to me, was just like, okay, I guess we're going to open with world title matches, or we're going to throw them right in the middle or something,
So, like I said, the match was good. I mean, like, I think everyone got their stuff in. Omos, his limited stuff looked impressive. I think one of my favorite Omos moments on this was when he had the delayed vertical on Kofi, because Kofi is the tallest member of the New Day, and so the shot they had to get to zoom all the way out,
the wide angle
from foot to foot, it was very impressive to see that for sure. I think that
I like the slap out of the air a little bit better.
Oh yeah, when like Kofi's going for the jump or whatever, palms it out of the sky, and the way the camera cut it, you didn't even see like the follow through with Omos. It just the hand was already there. So
bam.
Like, hey bud, kind of a little slap on the chest there. Big E at one point almost lost the Uranagi in the corner. Did you see that? It was like, with Styles, but he caught and recovered it. There were a couple times that happened tonight where there were some moments, there's kind of like good audibles by the wrestlers and stuff. In the end, Big E dodging the phenomenal forearm and Lashley's spear. Lashley ends up spearing AJ by mistake. Another big ending to Lashley, and Big E wins again. So 2-0 now against Lashley. What do you think about that?
That surprised me.
Yeah.
It really did. I mean, anybody else could have taken the pin in that match.
I was very surprised because, Lashley is somebody who I think, at least with Drew McIntyre, he didn't lose as often in the same time span after losing the championship as Lashley has. And not to say, the sky is falling, but it's just impressive it's impressive how fast going from Lashley being so protected to suddenly, losing to Big E twice. It is legitimizing for Big E. But, why have him take the pinfall when you've got this thing later in the night where Lashley challenges him for the championship and Big E accepts? We have that to kick off Raw tomorrow night. But it's like he shouldn't be near the situation now because now he's 0-2 against Big E.
Well, yeah, but, he's gonna say it's because he had people that he was teaming with. It wasn't just
X,
him.
Y, Z and stuff. So we'll get that. But, I mean, as far as the match itself, I thought it was fine. It's just like thrown together with the champion involved. That felt, it's a little hard to get through that way. For the Smackdown tag titles, the Usos defend against the Street Profits. And the one thing that I kept thinking of as this match was going on was, remember we heard about the no leg slap rule in WWE and how there should be no more of those things, to the point where you even saw Sami Zayn at one point like pull his slap like just before, like that. forget about that with this match, because boy, the leg slaps were out in full force. The story also is Montez Ford's ribs, because he got beat down real good on Friday by the Bloodline. I think everyone looked good in this thing, but I mean, Ford especially, I loved his resilience and his courage and stuff after surviving the taped up ribs and everything. Dawkins looked really good in this match as well. Beautiful doomsday blockbuster, I should say, by the Profits. And there was,
I thought that was it, honestly, when they hit that.
It felt like a finish. We get a "We Want Tables" chant in this matchup at one point. Aw, those poor souls. We do get, there is a happy ending to this story, so stay tuned for that.
Do you think all these people are Dudley fans?
In Columbus. Oh, maybe Columbus is the real Dudleyville all along.
Yeah, well, it's definitely Hardyville. That's another story.
Yeah, we get Dawkins kicking out of the Usos splash, and Ford with a plancha to the outside, another frog splash, pins broken up, and then you got the Usos, the double super kick, and the double splash to Ford for the Usos to win and retain. I think, we said in the predictions video this was going to be a possible match of the night. And
it was pretty damn good.
Yeah, I would put it up there as far as and honestly, I'll talk about why it's probably one of my toppers, by the end of this review. But definitely lived up to the hype. Charlotte Flair defends the Raw Women's title against Alexa Bliss in a match that really defied my expectations, Jay, I gotta say. First of all, I gotta say props to Charlotte for the Venom-inspired gear on this night. Took me a couple of minutes to realize what it actually was, because one, my vision, and two, also all the lights flickering and everything. Kind of hard to make out the detail until she turns around. You see like
only half of it too.
The symbiote goo. I thought that was very clever. You got Charlotte. First of all, Alexa is the hometown girl, so she's the baby face totally in this thing. Clearing away.
Yeah, very much so.
She gets a good early run, but then Charlotte kind of overpowers her a lot. Alexa, I swear at one point where she's in the surfboard thing, I swear she uses her double jointedness to get out of it, because her arms both bend this way. I'm like, that doesn't feel right from where it was.
Right.
So it makes me wonder if she did that, because I think at one point you can kind of see her kind of I saw her kind of doing this a couple times, she was trying to get it back into place.
That's one of the things she does,
Yeah.
So I think she pulled out everything tonight, honestly. Even the Twisted Bliss almost came out.
This was a different Alexa Bliss than what we've seen, because it feels like it's always been the spooky Alexa does the no selling, and Lily does crazy stuff. I feel like when you look back at it now, the last couple of months, they've actually done a pretty good job just backing away from that, and now it's not there's nothing magical or mystical about it anymore.
I think people still attached it to Bray Wyatt. I mean, I kind of did.
Yeah, and we'll talk about what happens with Lily as things go on. But I mean, this is a really good match. It's not like Alexa no-selling things. Right. That's really not there at all. There's no creepiness. There's no smoke and mirrors. There's no spooks.
Right.
It's a straight-up wrestling match, and it's a really good one. Really surprising how well this is done. And then you've got, at the end, Charlotte grabs the Lily doll, throws it at Alexa, and that causes Charlotte to take advantage and end up winning. She hits the natural selection to win and retain after a lot of close falls and near falls, I should say.
It was a great match. What I will say is that in the predictions video, I predicted that Alexa was going to win, and I will say now, had I known they were going to be in her hometown at the time, I would have said, no way she's going to win.
Because that is WWE's booking 101.
Right.
Hometown hero never ends up winning. We saw 2 weeks ago on SmackDown.
Well, yeah.
So after the match, Charlotte tears Lily to shreds, and I was immediately hearkening back to this episode of Sunday Night Heat when the Headbangers tore up Golga's Cartman doll. And Jim Cornette with a line that still resonates to me. By God, he wasn't fat or big bone, he was stuffed. Cartman is down. And I wish that he would have been there. I'm sure he would have said something very different if 2021 Jim Cornette was there doing commentary.
Right.
About Lily getting torn up, but she's torn up. And that was the last of the moment where I went, shouldn't there be lightning or lights, something happening to signify the death of Lily here because she's the spirit or something?
I think the Build-A-Bear insides being exposed
for a childhood doll, that stuffing held up very well and looked very pristine.
It did, especially through that Shayna Baszler shit.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
And then what happens is my favorite part about this is Alexa snaps, starts beating up Charlotte, but then Charlotte just kicks her ass, throws on the table. And
then
leaves.
Out.
It's wow.
Bye, bitch.
What did you do? What did Alexa do to get that treatment? Hometown hero. And then you see her in the ring, and she gets there, and she's crying over the tattered remains of Lily. There's a thank you Lily chant, which I thought
that was hilarious.
That was pretty audacious. She screams a few times. I swear at one point she's got like an Alka-Seltzer in her mouth, because like when she's screaming, this big as white like puddle in there, like what is going on? She's supposed to be foaming at the mouth, and there's just not enough saliva working through to...
This ending was milked a little bit too damn long, just in my opinion.
One too many screams, I think. So, I mean, the match was fine, and then the finish was like, you know, you can almost excuse it, but then like everything afterwards felt like kind of cringe. That's how I felt about it. So let me ask you this, Jay. Does this mean like the end of like the Fiend lore officially? Because I mean, Lily was kind of the last, like you mentioned, there's a connection to Bray Wyatt there. So maybe this is the way they're going to write Alexa Bliss out of being the mystic, you know, the spooky magic thing, and like this is going to maybe snap her back into reality?
Well, I mean, there is that possibility, because come the main event later tonight, I mean, there is another persona in the WWE that could take those magical, mystical powers.
Yeah, that's true. We'll talk about that. So, I mean, I think it's maybe Charlotte really did beat the goofiness or the craziness out of Alexa. So, I think the way they wrestled the match and the way this thing was handled makes me think they might be stepping away from that. Then we go to the U.S. title triple threat match as Damian Priest defends against Sheamus and Jeff Hardy. This match, I think, Jay, was my pick for my favorite match of the night.
It was surprisingly good, to say the least.
I mean, there's a lot of really, again, kind of how I felt about Alexa and Charlotte, a lot of really big, close calls, near fall kind of situations that made you feel it could really go a certain way. Like, Hardy's kicked out of the match like, right away, but then he comes back in, you know, the House of Fire with a bunch of flying early on. Priest doing a plancha. His planchas are always scary to me, where it's like, you don't know if he's going to trip on that rope.
Because he's so tall.
Yeah, he's tall and lanky and stuff. We get another We Want Tables chant. They're planting the seeds for this big payoff we're getting here in the main event, folks. Kind of a scary moment here where Sheamus is going for the beats on Damian. He counters it and looks to do it himself, but he slips off the apron. He's able to catch himself, though. And just nice audible, because he just kicks Sheamus' leg to keep him selling. Then he gets back up there and does the spot again.
That was a nice fat move on his end.
I thought that was a pretty good way to get out of it. Jeff with a double whisper in the wind. Sheamus with a cloverleaf onto Jeff, who like sells it for a long time. Gets the rope break after all this drama. They're like, wait, there's no rope break. It's Extreme Rules. I'm like, this reminds me, it's like, or not because it's Extreme Rules, because it's a triple threat. But the whole thing, it's like, yeah, I mean, why can't they sneak some kind of extremeness in this match? Because, it's no rules.
What's nothing else with extremeness other than one.
If rope breaks aren't a thing, then what's stopping somebody from grabbing a chair in this match?
Exactly.
Just, and that's a logic leap that happens, I think, in every multi-man match, but it feels like for pay-per-view and for, again, I don't want to keep harping on this, but the Extreme Rules thing, like, throw a little bit of spice. A little bit of spice in that one.
Well, I will say, okay, so, like, initially we weren't too excited about Damian Priest and Sheamus one-on-one.
Yeah.
Adding Hardy was a nice touch, and I didn't know how over Hardy was in Columbus.
He's big in Columbus, apparently.
Cow,
they loved him.
They love this dude.
Yeah, it's the No More Words. The old theme coming back a while ago, I think that did it for me.
Oh, is that what it was?
there was another kind of a confusing moment where Damian goes to the Reckoning, and Hardy kind of counters it, but they just kind of tumble onto each other, and they have to cover for it with Hardy hitting the Twist of Fate. It was a couple of botches in this thing that were kind of scary. It didn't take away my enjoyment of the match overall, though. But my favorite part of this is Sheamus going up top. He does like the Hardy fingers. He's doing the this and this, and then he hits his move. He hits the top rope knee drop. I'm like, wow, he did all that grandstand and hot dog, and he still hit it. Like,
he hit the move.
That was very impressive. I think that was the spot of the night for me. A big old series of moves to end this thing. Sheamus hitting the knee. Hardy tries to capitalize by dumping him out. Priest rolls up Sheamus to win and retain. Like I said, except for those couple of slip-ups here and there, I think it was a really solid, very physical match.
Absolutely.
At the end, you got Hardy showing the respect to Damian.
Yes, the passing of the arrow.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, they did the little arrow thing together. It was very nice. So yeah, I think as far as matches that are fun to watch and don't end in bullshit, sorry, spoiler alert, this is my favorite match of the night. So we get that response from Big E to what Lashley said earlier about the challenge to the title, and so Big E accepts, and like we said, it's going to open up Raw on Monday night. It's just wild to believe, Jay, that a show that typically does not begin with matches, of all the times it does, it's the WWE Championship. Like, there's that word again, hot shotting, pew, 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 hot shot. hey man, nice shot, nice hot shot there. But,
hey, I'm excited for my review tomorrow at least.
It makes me wonder if they're gonna if it's a kind of thing where they'll bookend the show, where it's like, hey, start off strong with this, and then by the end of the night establish like the next challenger, or am I being too optimistic about that? You think they're just gonna like not address it?
Oh,
until
they're gonna
next
do
week?
it so that 700 people walk out at 10 p.m.
Semi-main event for the Smackdown Women's Championship. Becky Lynch defending against Bianca Belair. Jay, I want to address something that really caught my eye when Becky made her entrance, because we saw earlier in the show, she's taping up her wrists and her whole fist got taped up, and then we see there's no tape on her hands. What's going on here? I feel like I've been lied to, Jay.
No, maybe she thought twice about it.
Yeah, she's like, you know what? Just let's roll some of that back up. Gotta save my money.
It's more sportsmanlike at gorilla position. You know, they have officials checking everything now.
Right.
You know?
Dueling chants for both ladies in this match early on. There's some.
Oh, the signs too.
Yeah, like equally sized signs. Like this person clearly
man EST
covered both their bases here by just getting signs for both of them. We at this point where there's a lot of gaga early on, and Becky powders a lot, and there's kind of a Bayley-esque moment here where Cole's like saying, "Oh, Becky's frustrating. She's thinking this," and Becky just like cuts him off and gets in his face like, "I have a plan. Like don't try and say what I'm thinking."
Right.
Isn't that very nice? Nice little tribute to Bayley there. Bianca's on top early on. Becky cuts her off, like does like the snapping the ponytail back over the top rope. That looked gnarly. And Jay, I will say this, like, you know, a few months ago I said, boy, I think they've really overused Bianca's ponytail in matches. They're still doing it.
Yeah, but they continue to find, like, innovative ways each time, at least. It doesn't seem like the same spot, which is what I was worried about. Like, how many times can you essentially, like, choke someone out with their own hair?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, there's a couple of the tug-of-war spot we saw later in the match with the hair. We've seen that done before. It's like there's only so many ways you can do it. I'm like, I figure by now they've kind of like exercised all their options, and they're still doing them, but I guess they think it's okay. So like, we'll just keep going with it. Great spot where Bianca powers out of the sleeper and turns into a deadlift suplex. That was fun.
That looked really good.
What did you think for someone, you know, we saw more of Becky wrestle a match with this new character.
Right.
You know, we didn't see much of that at SummerSlam. We've seen promos only since. What did you think about Becky's heel persona in the ring for a proper match?
Oh, I thought it was great, you know, the way everything started off and the way she just, like, her mannerisms and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I don't think there's any flaws in her being a heel. Like I said, my only gripe was that I just thought there was money left on the table.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a business, bottom line. I look at it like that, too.
Yeah, and as far as, like, Becky and her mannerisms as a heel, I think, yeah, she did kind of have some of that swagger, and she was, you know, a little cocky, and when things didn't go her way, like when Bianca kept kicking out of stuff, you could see her kind of, like, looking visibly kind of, like, peeved off or pouting, as Michael Cole put it. There's some great wrestling here in this match. Like, this is another match where it's like, hey, it could go either way. There's times, you know, I thought it was going to be more toward Becky. I thought there was going to be a chance of Becky kind of like eating Bianca alive in this thing where Bianca wouldn't look good. But the fans still dug everything she did and were really rooting for her pretty hard.
It was equal.
Yeah.
It felt like the booking was anyways in this match.
It was very good back and forth here. Becky gets the disarm her locked in, but there's a rope break, and Becky kind of slips out of the glam slam and throws Bianca into the steps. A couple big leg drops, but Bianca keeps kicking out. More fighting over the arm, more good stuff. And then just when Bianca's got the KOD set up, Sasha Banks runs in. We have not seen her since SummerSlam.
We didn't even see her at SummerSlam, Brian.
Well, since before SummerSlam, that's right. Or the week before that. She's been gone for, you know, God knows what reason, and she's back here. She interferes, and the match is thrown out. It's disqualification. This would have been a nice time for some wacky stipulations to keep the flow going, is all I'm saying, guys.
Right, yes, thank you.
Yeah, and like, so Becky kind of gives an Orange Cassidy thumbs up to Sasha.
That was pretty good, and then she gets her ass beat,
yeah,
too.
That image of Becky doing the thumbs up, that's like a meme in the making, for sure. I'm going to see that show up on Twitter for the next week. But then you got Sasha beating up both Bianca and Becky, and then she leaves, and that was that. You know, a great match, soured by a bad ending.
Right, that's pretty much what it was. And the match was, you know, because it was their very first one-on-one. So,
proper,
proper, right,
yeah.
Not including house shows or whatever. But that being said, it lived up to being a great match, and neither looked weak on either end. So, I mean, I'm satisfied by it.
You hate to see a match that go that long and tell a good story, and on pay-per-view no less, and in a DQ finish like that. And like, I'm torn because because Sasha Banks being back, I think, is going to be good for this picture right now, and like it's great to see her back.
That's a great, like, how would I say, a pay-per-view event, match down the road.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that maybe they could hold that off for Survivor Series or something down the line, even maybe Royal Rumble. But I think that it was just disappointing. I guess it's the best outcome because like Bianca doesn't like get beaten. And neither does Becky,
right.
So...
And the draft starts this coming Friday, so where are they going to be?
So finishes don't fucking matter on this show, as we'll see, In your main event is the one and only Extreme Rules match of Extreme Rules as Roman Reigns defends the Universal Championship against the Demon, Finn Balor. And Jay, the one last thing I'm going to say about the whole harping on the Extreme Rules match on the show, people seem to be saying, well, it's just like Hell in a Cell now or Elimination Chamber where it's like one match is all you need to have that name. But you know what?
I told you the whole pay-per-view, the whole Extreme thing was based around the fact we were seeing Finn Balor.
It's just weird that they give us a stipulation or a pay-per-view format where it's like you expect all these stipulations, and then they just take them away, and there's no real reason for it. They don't explain that at all. So,
but let's touch on this though. So the crowd was extremely hot all night. So we talked about this off camera here.
Yeah.
About how you can pretty much just throw any name on any pay-per-view now, and the crowd's either going to be into it or not.
That is true. I mean, honestly, you could have named this anything else, and it would have been just fine. I think it's the fact that it was called that. Clearly doesn't matter to the fans.
Egg and a leg.
But, I will say...
What's that about? Who cares? There's great matches at it.
Yeah, right? So, they trade strikes to start. Demon no-sells this thing for a while. But then Roman just wears him down. There's a great part early on. Roman grabs a kendo stick, and Finn responds with a bigger kendo stick.
A bundle.
It's 4 or 5 of them tied together. They were planting the seeds all night. And honestly, the most heartwarming story of the entire show, the table, everyone. Got the biggest pop of the night when Finn finally pulled it out. And then, like, when Roman...
Dude, Roman's heat. Perfect. Perfect. He's like, no tables.
No table for you, yeah. And then when Finn brings it back out, it gets an even bigger pop. And then the great irony is that Finn spends so much time setting that table up, and Roman immediately slams him through it.
Right through it.
That was the best, the juiciest bit of irony that we'd seen. There was fighting in the crowd, Jay. What'd you think of that?
Yeah, well, I thought it was great because Roman got that mask heat, man.
Mask on.
He's got that mask heat.
I mean, I think mask or no, I think it's like, that seems to go kind of against the whole idea of like keeping the talent's safety in mind because you don't really know what the status of everyone is that you're going to the crowd for.
You're gonna have to get swabbed, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. But Roman, he put the mask on for the extra heat. I'm sure for extra safety for him. I saw this sentiment a few times on Twitter. If Roman Reigns can wear a mask while he wrestles, you can wear one to the grocery store. Finn mounts a comeback, but he eats a spear, and then when he kicks out, barely, because it was like late
Super
kick
late,
out.
Yeah.
Rhythmically, it would have been 3.
I was gonna say, that wasn't it.
When he kicks out, he low blows Roman, very similar to how Roman has done that before in the past. So hits the coup de grace, but wouldn't you know it, the Usos pull Finn out of the ring. Again, the kind of same thing with the triple threat. If it's no DQ by default, what's stopping them from weapons? What's stopping the Usos from being there the entire time? It's just like, they set up a table, Balor takes them both out, and then Roman hits a spear through the barricade. Everyone's down, and then all of a sudden, like, I don't know how many finishers Balor had saved up, but he hit this combination. Right. Just flopping like a fish with the heartbeats.
Well, the lights went and started flickering and everything. It was crazy. That's what I was talking about earlier with the Alexa Bliss. Like she doesn't have any mystical powers. Now he has them all.
You can't have 2 in one show anymore.
Right.
Alexa lost her powers, and the demon got his. He just gets right up, no-sells everything. His music is blaring like he's some magical new jack as he's beating everybody up. He drop kicks Roman Reigns into a table that was set up on the outside. And you think he's going to win. He's going up with a coup de grace at the top. And then the rope breaks. He just falls over.
Yeah, well, he kind of fell. I don't know. Me and you both watched it a couple times. He kind of looked like a fish, like spawning upstream.
He just eats shit. It reminds me of a spot I saw the other day on Instagram where somebody just took this header into a pane of glass and just did this bump, like that kind of bump.
He kind of looked like a South Park character.
That's kind of what Finn's bump reminded me of here. So he's there, like the lights come back up, the music's dead. What happened? And then Roman spears him and wins, and that was the end. Like, I don't know how to feel about that finish. It was it was almost like a rejection of like, hey, if those of you who like the spooky bullshit, well, tough, because we took it out of one character and then we made him look like a putz with the other one.
At one point, I was totally convinced we were going to have Brock Lesnar show up, but yeah, once the finish happened,
it was just like, and for a brief moment, I thought, oh my god, are they going to really pull the trigger on Finn, like doing the unthinkable? But like then he looks like an idiot.
Is he gonna be like the Fiend now and wrestle in red light?
The red light thing was curious as well. Where it's the thing where it's like, if this is gonna be his comeback as the Demon, he better do this every time now. It's like, it was. I've been trying to like. I'm of two minds about it, because on the one hand I'm like, okay, it's part of the show, it's part of the story, it's. It's not as bad as Hell in a Cell with Seth and Bray. That's all I'm gonna say. It's not as bad as that.
No,
not as bad as that. But this was just like. I just kept thinking it made Finn look dumb. Why would you have him do that if he's going to lose anyway? Why would you have him have this big fucking miraculous comeback?
Hulk up.
Yeah, like the Hulk up to end all Hulk ups was this spot, seriously.
It was. He was down dead, face in the dirt.
Then he flopped
and then all of a sudden,
times
then all of a sudden he was up, and just because of the heartbeat music.
It protected the Demon, I guess. In a way, but in other ways, I think it didn't. So,
all right, I guess go to the comment section below and let us know what you thought.
Great match with a finish that I don't think I can declare one way or the other right now as to whether I like it or I hate it. Right now, it's kind of in the middle. But on a night where we saw a lot of bullshit finishes, it didn't feel great to have one be in the main event too. Well, Jay, I gotta ask you, what is your grade for this evening's not so extreme rules showing?
Well, I mean, I didn't like the fact that there wasn't a lot of extreme matches on the pay-per-view, but I will say for a fact that, I mean, the action did deliver. The matches weren't bad. It's just like we said, some very disappointing finishes is really what it was. So it was a very just middle-of-the-road pay-per-view, in my opinion. So, I mean, I would say it's like a B, probably a B minus. Let's just say
I'm gonna agree with you and say B minus for me. I wouldn't say it was bad enough to put it in the C category at all.
No.
But I mean, it had great wrestling. The fact there wasn't that many wacky stipulation matches apparently didn't matter, because, like you said, the action really came through in a big way. Lots of great wrestling. I think that for the most part that was fine. But there were a few matches on the show, big pivotal matches, with this kind of like, why would you do it that way?
Right.
And
I guess we'll find it's probably all due to the draft coming up.
Yeah,
honestly.
I mean, I think it was a little disappointing. I mean, I guess these losses in some ways were meant to, the bullshit finishes. In some way, that you could argue they were done to protect the people who like didn't benefit, or the people who lost or whatever. But I mean, the fact you had so many of them, and two of them back to back, was not great from just kind of like a fan enjoyment standpoint, because like two matches where you're like, oh, this is really exciting, and then to have kind of like the gut punch, it's like that's not a great way to end the show. But I mean, B minus, I think, just for the in-ring ability and the talent alone. And they did set some stuff up for like the next night, which is like, okay, that's why you have these pay-per-views, is to get people to keep watching. So
progression and storyline.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. But I think just way too many just bullshit finishes for my liking. But those are just our thoughts, folks. What did you think of Extreme Rules? Let us know in the comments section below. And stay tuned for Monday night, because J Biggs will be on hand to give his thoughts on the Raw review and see just what went down with the championship match with Big E and Bobby Lashley. So until then, folks, for J Biggs, I'm Brian Zane, and we'll see you next time.